about, as Dr. Wiseman just did, talk about what we didn't do in the approval process, in the safety surveillance, the follow-up process. Talk about the steps we didn't take that we should have and what we ought to be doing moving forward.
And my comments will be regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. So Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. I have served on or chaired over 24 data safety monitoring boards for NIH-sponsored and big pharma-sponsored clinical trials. I know data safety inside out, backwards and forwards. I've also been on critical event committees, and I've been on institutional review boards. Those three bodies are essential. I'll repeat. A critical event committee to adjudicate a safety event, a data safety monitoring board to independently look at what is going on with a clinical program and when an investigational product is being administered, and then a human ethics board to understand and help protect the subjects in that study. We have an Office of Human Resource Protections here in the United States, OHRP. They are charged in protecting human subjects. Our COVID-19 vaccines, the consent form indicates in every state in the United States that the vaccines are investigational or in research because they are under emergency use authorization. What did not happen is we did not have those three essential bodies of independent people installed. We never had those. By the way, they were installed and were utilized in the randomized clinical trials before they came to EUA approval. We also had the wrong bodies leading the vaccine program. Remember, the FDA is supposed to be the safety watchdog. The National Institutes of Health is the government research body, and the CDC is the outbreak investigation body. Right now, the CDC and the FDA are the named sponsors of a vaccine program. If American can learn anything, we should never have the FDA and CDC be a sponsor of a public program in administering a product. It has been a giant and colossal mistake. We should have had a separate body, a government body, be the sponsor of the vaccine program. The vaccine manufacturers can supply the products, and then we needed the separate Data Safety Monitoring Board, Clinical Event Committee, and Human Ethics Committee there in oversight. And if this would have happened based on the emergence of unexplained deaths, I am testifying today that the program would have been shut down in February because of excess mortality.
Dr. Carey,
The NIH, specifically the NIAID division of the NIH, co-owns the patent on the Moderna vaccine, and 6 members of the NIAID get royalties from the profits into their personal pockets, not to mention the entire budget of that program.
are you sure of that?
I'm sure of that.
Is that
That's publicly available information. Okay. Four members get royalties.
I know there's also an issue, there's also an issue of the people that on the panel for remdesivir had some kind of tie with Gilead as well.
Rife with conflicts of interest that would never be accepted in other settings. So they are profiting. And look, NIH, just for people out there that don't know where these agencies are situated in the federal government, NIH, which is gotten involved in sponsoring the research, the studies, for approval of the vaccines, FDA, which is the agency that gives approval, and CDC, which is the agency that makes recommendations on which subsequent mandates are based. So the CDC says, well, we don't mandate anything, we don't make federal policy, federal law, which is true, right? But all the mandates then look to the CDC recommendations as their justification. So nobody ultimately takes responsibility for the mandates. There's no place where the buck stops. All of these are divisions of the same Department of Health and Human Services. They all report to the same Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. And the need for strict separation from those who are profiting from these products, right? Which is what we expect corporations to do. Of course, that's what they're about. But all the more need for careful structures to be put in place such that the regulatory agencies are serving the interests of the American people.
Then there's also revolving